I interviewed 6 wonderful watercolor artists about personal style. Before interviewing them, I thought I had a good idea about how personal style came about, but what they told me was inspiring and eye-opening. You do not want to miss any part of this video. Hi, this is Eric from Cafe Watercolor. So I have been painting watercolor for almost 10 years now. I started off as a complete amateur to now somewhat experienced. And along the way, I started to think about how to develop my own painting style. Because as an artist, you want to have your unique voice. You want your work to be recognized as your work instead of a reminder of another artist's painting. Well, up until recently, I didn't think much about it because I thought, well, if I just painting the stuff I like with the way I like it, I will eventually develop a personal style. However, as much as I believe things will happen naturally if I just keep painting, I am interested in other established artists on how they found their personal style. So I reached out to some artists who I have great respect for: Chien Chong Wei, Jasmine Huang, Ellie Yu, and the Evansen, Beccari, and Joseph Zbukvic. Everyone except Joseph graciously let me interview them and gave me their precious time and thought. Now, Joseph didn't do an interview with me simply because he wants to focus on painting and he won't be able to accept any interview request. So talk about dedication. I have great respect for him. He did, however, give me some word of advice which I am going to share with you later. So the reason I approached them is because I believe they all have distinct painting style, and I admire their work greatly. I believe I can learn from all of them, and I am interested to see if they have different thought about it. So without further ado, let's hear what they have to say. The first master I interviewed was Chien Chong Wei. Now, he probably required no introduction. A master watercolor artist who won multiple huge awards, a signature member of AWS and NWS, and so on. His work is classy and elegant, with powerful, intense brushstrokes and thoughtful compositions. I like to call his painting profound, and here is what he told me about personal style.
为什么很多画家找不到自己的风格，或者是做不出一个自己的样貌吧？是因为我怎么说呢？没有把自己逼到绝境，并没有把自己逼到悬崖边。你要对自己要非常的严苛。每个人都知道说我的画已经是自己个人一个风格，但很奇怪就是说，因为我从来没有想要去追求风格嘛，而且我相信很多人看得出我的这条画到目前为止呢，它还是不定性。我还在摸索当中。如果停下这个尝试啊，停下这个脚步啊，停下这个想要让我的画面变得更好，那种好是说我在某一个表达方式做到好的时候呢，就是我会不只想要好而已，独特，我想让它变得更独特一点哦。所以这个对我来讲，让它变得更独特，可能就是对我的意义来讲，就是让它变得更好的意思。你让它变得越好，它越独特。你想让它越得更独特，它就会变得更好。我尽量从网络上面再去看有没有能够给我一些启发的东西，古今中外都有。想要追寻一个独特的风格，你一定要严苛的面对自己。风格不是去找的啦，你要知道风格是你只要努力的做好自己的时候，你慢慢别人会看见你。我就说过了嘛，你会越来越独特。我觉得这种风格的一个养成才是一个健康的一个方向。而且风格不是自己说了算了，是由别人来看，所以你不用太担心说我要去把自己做一个 mark 哈，把自己给形塑成一个标志出来，让大家看风格。好了，就算现在你给你找到风格了，接下来怎么办？你好不容易找到了，你好不容易终于做到一个人家认可的风格，接下来你的问题就是守成，你就会把自己给紧紧的框住了。这是我好不容易我做了多少年做起来的成果，就是这个样子。我的企图心，我的品味永远比我目前的成果要高。在这个目标之前，那个目标太诱人了。那个目标是我如果把它做成一个很杰出的一张作品之后， 会有得到非常大的一个满足感，因为那个目标太诱惑人了，那个诱惑到以至于我可以放弃掉这个其他的事情，只要你们有被我的水彩画吸引了就够了。哦，你们会在网络上面滑着，看到简中的画，忽然就停下来，你们被我的画吸引了，那就够了。
So for Chien, it's not about finding a specific style. It is the fact that he continuously tries to paint better, to pursue his ideal while looking for new ways to create a masterpiece. He came up with some core values for his painting. Paint deep, not clear. Paint rich, not detailed. Paint the feeling, not the reality. Paint the taste, not the style. The last part, paint the taste, not the style, is very profound. My personal interpretation for that is, instead of looking for a unique personal style, focus on developing your taste and try to achieve that in your painting. Honestly, it was a mind-blowing experience talking with him. I learned so much. The next person is Ellie Yu. She is also from Taiwan. She is a very young artist with a huge passion for plein air. Her paintings are beautiful. But unlike the plein air painting we are all familiar with, her subjects are not blue sky with a vast mountain range, rivers with reflection, or a house in a peaceful field. Her painting subjects are often the busy street and night markets in Taiwan. That's right, a night market filled with people. She does plein air right there, and her work is amazing. And I can say her style as well as her subject matters are very distinct. So when I asked her about personal style, this is what she said.
风格这种东西算是自然形成的，像跟其他老师学会有其他老师的影子在。对，那这个部分其实是很多人都会碰到的。以在台湾来说，就很多这种状况，就是你可能说这个人画得很好，但是你一看就知道他跟谁学过。对，就是你说风格，但不可能都跟老师完全一样。但是他是说，那基本上风格这种东西，其实你自己画久了，你即使跟这个人学过，你自己的风格也会慢慢形成。只是就是可能风格的强烈性跟比较普通这样子。
我看到你的那个 Facebook po 文几乎都是你去写生的这样，所以你是就是非常非常喜欢写生吗？
应该说写生就是像写生跟创作，以前我会觉得这两种是不一样，我会觉得说写生它就是像锻炼基本功这样子，然后可能对，然后创作的部分它可能就是内化的东西把它呈现出来。对对，那只是我是觉得说像以我现在来说啊，我是觉得这两个其实是可以合而为一。像写生，你看到这个风景的东西，你是有消化吸收，再把它画到纸上，你并不是一样画葫芦这样就是把你看到的景直接复制在纸上。对，那其实它可以是写生，那也可以是创作。大自然就是我们的老师，所以我会觉得说，你就是向大自然学习，像你看到的景，但是我是在就是在看到这个在写生过程中，我也是在有消化吸收，并不是复制在纸上这样子。
对对，
我的想法是认为说，每个就像约瑟夫或者阿尔瓦罗，其实他们都是画自己的家乡、自己生活的环境，就是巴塞隆纳啦、威尼斯那种，就是很多人画那种美美的那种结果。对，那但是每个人其实都画自己的家乡才有意思啊。对，就像我自己来说，我就是都是在推广一些台湾的风景这种题材，尤其是晚上在外面写生夜写这种，其实比较少人去做这个部分。对，而且它这个部分像夜市，其实就是台湾还蛮大的特色之一。
So her passion for plein air and her love for her city is everything. She believes artistic style is defined by the viewer, not herself. So in other words, painting style for her is almost a byproduct of her simply being unapologetically truthful to herself. She believes as long as she follows her heart and commit to her passion, people will see the character in her art. The third person I interview is with Jasmine Huang. She is also a wonderful watercolor artist who won multiple awards and recognitions. Her painting looks delicate, gentle, and has this classical beauty in them. And she happens to be married to Chien Chong Wei. I am very interested in how she came up with her own style without getting affected by Chien's work, and her answer is inspiring.
其实一开始2014年创作的时候，我大概是有一点刻意避开简老师的风格吧。 因为简老师他已经有一点点成型了，就是说他的风格比较明确。但是就2014年的时候，我只要开始起头画个一两张那种利落飞白的笔法的时候呢，简老师的粉丝他就会在我的那个 FB 底下留言，哇，你这是简派，对，那你这是简派，你这是简老师的风格，所以这个时候我就决定了，好吧，我先舍弃那个简老师惯用的那种潇洒的笔法，就变成是自己要去钻研寻找，就是说还是要从自己的那个性向跟喜好，我喜好什么样的一个味道，喜欢什么样的一个表现。其实在我的个性里面，可能我更喜欢那种温润的那种水质的感觉，温润的那种色调。所以早年的2014年的时候，我大概研究了很多那个佛林特的作品，还有魏斯的作品啊，还有一些古代那个水彩画家的作品。我比较不是那么倾向喜欢跟当代的那个画家学习，就是我有读图的能力，就是说我只要看到这一张画，我可能就有办法去在脑海里面去分析它是怎么过程画过来的，我去模拟它怎么画过来的，大概我就有办法学到东西吧。我就会喜欢去研究古今中外，然后世界各地的那个名家的作品，自己能不能进展到什么样的一个程度的话，就变成是自己要下功夫。你欣赏各个名家的作品会速度很快，可是你能不能变成转换成自己想要的美感的一个能量，这个部分就会稍微比较慢一点。我还在学习当中。
哦，你都还在学习，其他人不知道怎么讲。So by not taking shortcut to paint with an existing style that's so accessible to her, Jasmine was determined to be different from her husband. She took her time to study all master's work and really think about what touches her. Doing so, plus lots and lots of hard work, she's able to develop her own way of painting and creating her work. And I have to say, her determination is very impressive and is something that we should all learn from. Next, I talked to Andy Evansen, and if you've been following me for a while, you know that his work has a huge impact on me. He is a well-established watercolor artist. I love the way he interprets lighting and atmosphere. When I look at Chien's work, I often feel like the time freezes. I'm looking at something timeless. But when I look at Andy's work, I feel like my time passes with the painting. I'm feeling very engaged and personal. While his love of British watercolor painting is clear in his work, I can still easily recognize his work when I see it. When I asked him about what he did to develop his personal style, what he said is very surprising to me.
Personally, I think one of the things that helped me was when I first took workshops. I took workshops from artists that I didn't actually really want to paint like them.
Oh, okay.
So they were very loose artists. Skip Lawrence was very abstract and very colorful. Eric Weigart was super loose. I wanted to be more representational in my work. I did take a workshop from Alvaro Castañer, which was great. That was my first plein air workshop. But I purposely kind of sought out artists who were, known for just like really loose painting, hoping that I could just pick up some tips. I mentioned all the time in my bio how much I kind of looked at the British watercolor artists more than anything. But even then, I didn't take a workshop from them. I was just looking at their books, and just trying to come up with a nice natural palette and trying to simplify shapes a little bit more. I think that was really important for me when I started out because, like I said, I don't know if a lot of people do that. They see, someone they want to paint like them and take from them and they pick up all those tips and then they never give themselves a chance to grow. I would suggest people to do that. Find out, search out some people that maybe don't necessarily paint the way you want to paint and take a workshop from them. You never know what's going to happen. And I do always say, it's okay to be influenced by somebody. We all have our favorite artists and you want to paint like them. But paint what you know, paint your area, you know, paint the inside of your house, you know, things that are really familiar to you, your pets, your kids, whatever it is. That's a really good way to find your own voice too. You're not trying to seek out subject matter that matches what this other painter did, you know, so you can paint it in a similar style. So it's a little bit harder when you're, you know, sitting down to do a portrait of your kids, follow somebody else's technique or process and apply that. You know, you're too close to that subject, and you're going to try and, you know, paint them in your own manner, and it's more personal. And then the art is more personal too.
So Andy will purposefully learn from artists whose style might not be his cup of tea, and by keeping an open mind and expose himself to other painting styles, he avoids falling into the trap of hyper-focusing on the painting style he likes. This broadened his horizon as an artist, and he was able to paint something of his own. The next artist I interviewed was Marcos Beccari. He is an amazing Brazilian artist who paints mostly portrait and figures. I would say his paintings are realistic and dramatic, yet it doesn't feel like he's simply copying the photograph. His observation and ability to recreate his understanding of the subject is incredible. I'm curious about how he developed the way he paints. Due to the language barrier, he couldn't do a live interview with me, but he did record some videos and answer my questions.
Well, I like to think that my paintings can raise this question: do they really like photographs, or would it be the observer's gaze that introduces the representation where there is only paint? But the question of personal style is a bit difficult to answer, because honestly I never really thought about it. I usually say that building a style always follows the same path. The artist is inspired by other artists, and this is certainly a matter of taste, but I always insist on the importance of the repertoire, which in my opinion is the main parameter for the style. I cultivate the habit, for instance, of printing some paintings by the masters I admire, like Zorn or Sargent, and hanging them on the walls of my studio, so as not to lose sight of this parameter. Another habit that works for me is, before a new painting, contemplating my previous paintings, trying to recognize some vices and defects, as well as qualities and good strategies. This doesn't exactly guarantee any progress, but at least it allows me to understand and contemplate my own painting style. That style is not something to be found, but to be built very slowly. In other words, as Miles Davis used to say, you have to play a long time to be able to play like yourself. And I think that this long journey mainly involves two factors: self-discipline and self-criticism. The difficulty is that these two factors tend to be conflict with each other, because excessive self-criticism ends up discouraging self-discipline, and excessive self-discipline often mitigates self-criticism. Between one thing and another, the north of building your personal style is the habit of cultivating a repertoire, always updating your searches of inspiration.
So Marcos has an interesting goal in his painting, and that is to give the viewer a sense of realism without feeling like they're looking at photographs. He also admired masters such as Anders Zorn and John Singer Sargent. Those are the fuel of his work. That being said, he didn't purposefully try to create a personal style. He just paints and try to get better with each new painting. Well, I would like to say his paintings speak for themselves. They are stunning to look at. They are so realistic looking, yet they still have that transparent beauty of watercolor, almost like magic. Make me wonder how he did it. Well, lastly, even though Master Joseph Zbukvic didn't accept my invitation for an interview, he did write me his thought on developing a personal style. Joseph is probably one of the most respected watercolor painters of our time. His ability to capture the atmosphere, structure, lighting, and movement is amazing. He pretty much came up with his own school of visual and shape languages. His contribution to the world of watercolor is invaluable. Unfortunately, because he has such a distinct style, we see many artists try to copy his style and visual language, and he definitely has something to say about it. He told me, one can never develop individual style if you follow a master. That road is taken. You have to make your own path. How? Be prepared of years of trying and hard work. The best and the only help along this lonely road is plein air work. Seek to please yourself, not the likes on Instagram. Words from a master. A lot to think about. So in conclusion, I learned that to develop a personal style is first not to focus on it, rather focus on producing better paintings. Your mindset is even more important. Really dig deep and think about what is it that you like. Open yourself up to many different types of art and medium. Find something you truly like. Look for a subject that really touches you, not just popular landmark for you to tag on social media. What is that you're passionate about? Find yourself and know yourself and work hard for yourself. Everyone is unique. You are a unique person, so am I. So if you are true to yourself, you will find a unique voice. Well, I hope you enjoyed this packed video. I certainly learned so much from talking to all of them, and they inspired me to try something else for my work as well. I will be sharing the full interview with each of them on this channel, so be sure to subscribe. That way you won't be missing out on these. I am Eric from Cafe Watercolor. Wish you have a wonderful day wherever you are. I will see you again soon.